Good afternoon. My name is Ian Ross. I'm a solicitor and legal advisor to Telford and Wrekin Council's Planning Committee. My initial task for today's committee is to clarify and confirm which planning committee members are in attendance. So alphabetically, I'll do a bit of a roll call if that's okay. Councillor Dugmore.
Here.
Councillor Fletcher.
Present.
Councillor Jones.
Present.
Councillor Lavery. Not present as yet. Councillor Middleton.
Here.
Councillor Scott.
Yes, present.
Councillor Smith.
Here.
Councillor Turley.
Present.
Councillor Wright. Councillor Wright, are you on mute?
Councillor White is here. Councillor Wright isn't.
Thank you very much.
Oh,
So now to assist, I'd just like to also clarify and confirm which Telford and Wrekin Council officers are also in attendance. Val Humes, Service Delivery Manager for Planning.
Here.
Andrew Gittins, Area Team Planning Manager.
present.
Penny Stephan, Planning Officer.
Present.
Kieran Robinson, Democratic and Scrutiny Services Officer.
Present.
Jane Clark, Democratic and Scrutiny Services Officer.
Present.
Maria Altanil, Democratic and Scrutiny Services Officer.
Present.
Thank you very much. That's all good. Besides, for now, the absence of Councillor James Lavery. We'll try and see what we can do to contact Councillor Lavery, but as things stand, the committee is quorate. I'd now like to hand over to our chair for the committee meeting, Councillor Charles Smith, to formally open the meeting and welcome everybody to the meeting.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Telford Wrekin Planning Committee. Due to the current COVID-19 regulations, today's meeting is being held using audio conferencing and is available for the public to listen to via an audio feed on the agenda page of our website or via the council YouTube channel. This ensures that all those involved or interested in the planning applications can hear how the decisions are made. Only those people who have been notified prior to the meeting are able to speak and will be dialed into the meeting via telephone for the application on which they would like to speak. Members and other participants should only speak when invited to do so, and can everyone ensure that their mics are on mute when not addressing the committee. This is because sounds come through and disrupt the meeting. When not addressing the committee, can everybody... Sorry, I just said that. Anyone who disrupts the meeting will be muted and asked to remove from the meeting proper. Welcome to the meeting. We now move on to item 1, which are the apologies for absence. Can I ask the Democratic Services to confirm there are no apologies?
We've had apologies from Councillor Raj Mehta and Councillor Derek White is substitute chair.
Are there any other apologies?
No other apologies yet, Chair. We just don't have James Lavery in the meeting at the moment.
Thank you. You did a roll call a minute ago, Ian, so we don't need that. Declarations of interest, item 2. Any declaration of interest in the agenda items?
No declarations have been received, Chair, either.
Yes, Chair.
Yes, who's that?
Me.
Oh,
Councillor
yes.
Turley, yep.
Yes.
It's reference TWC 2020-0357. I am a member of Great Dorley Town Council, and if this application has been discussed, I was not party to.
Okay, thank you, Chris. Ian, do you have any comment on that? Ian?
No, that's absolutely fine. Thank you.
Right. Ian, my notes said Ian, that this is the Ian Ross, that you would go through and ask any declaration of interest individually. You don't need to, do you?
No, I think given the visual presentation that we have, and everyone besides Councillor Lavery are present and we can see, I don't think there's any need for me to do that stage in the process, Chair.
Right. Thank you, Ian. It's we're getting used to this process now. Are there any deferred or withdrawn applications?
No, Chair.
No, right. And no site visits are planned
No, Chair.
because under the COVID regulation we should avoid all those site visits. Right, we now come to the planning application for determination.
Well, Charles, just to Chair, just if I may make a point, did I miss item 3, the minutes?
I did miss them. You're right.
Sorry, I didn't.
No, I did. My own agenda, my fault. Minutes of the previous meeting, are they a true record?
Yes.
There's a seconder for that. Right. Now the note says you can go through and ask if anybody's against it. Are there any council members against the minutes? No, they all in favour that we sign them, true record?
Yes, Chair.
Thank you. It saves Ian going through and asking everybody another roll call. We'll get down to it. I then put myself back on track and we'll go into the applications. The first one is 2019-1043 on page 11 of the agenda, and that's the Wellington Cottage Hospital site, care home site. Now with this one,
Chair, are you happy for me to dial in the public speaker for this?
yeah, I was just about to say that, Jane.
Sorry. Okay.
You have to get in the public speaker for that. So we'll just hang on a second while we're doing that.
Hello.
Hello, is that
Unknown
Mr. Jones?
participant is now joining.
Speaking.
Okay, it's Jane here. We're just in the planning committee, so I'll hand you back to the chair.
Okay.
All right, welcome, Mr. Jones. We now have the officer to introduce the report.
Yep.
And then we'll take it from there.
That's no problem.
Thank you, Chair. It's me, Andy Gittins, presenting the report
Yes,
today.
Andy.
So this is a full application for the conversion of the former Cottage Care Hospital on Haygate Road in Wellington into 6 apartments, together with the erection of 7 bungalows and 2 1.5-storey dwellings, together with an area of compensatory landscaping, including a pond and an ecological area. The application is receiving support from officers, subject to a Section 106 agreement to secure the occupation of the units to people aged over 55 years of age and a contribution towards local recreational facilities. At which point I'll hand back to you, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Jones, do you want to come in and make your 3 minutes worth?
Yep, that'd be great. Thank you very much. Sorry. Hi there. Sorry. So I'm the architect for the scheme to redevelop the former Cottage Care Hospital into the 6 apartments and division of the 9 bungalows. And many thanks for the opportunity to speak on behalf of the applicant. The site's been in 2 separate ownerships for about 35 years and was recently last year sold to 2 different parties and marketed separately. And there have been a number of proposals over the last 3 or 4 years by interested parties to develop the whole site and demolish the existing building, to the recent application by Bromford to redevelop the rear of the site for 19 units. My client, or the applicant, has been able to secure the whole site and is now able to produce a design that looks at the site in its entirety. This is something that the Conservation Officer wanted, and to avoid piecemeal development and also avoid the risk of the loss of the cottage care building, which is now locally listed. The existing hospital building has been sort of compromised internally and externally over the years, and only has a strong local interest rather than national interest and was therefore not listed. And the site's not in a conservation area, and with a refusal to list the existing building, it does have limited protection. My client, however, obviously wants to refurbish and convert this building into residential use to ensure its long-term protection. And as part of this, and as enabling works, they're proposing 4 new bungalows to the front and 5 dwellings to the rear. These apartments and bungalows will be aimed at the downsizing market, looking for single-level accommodation. And we feel there is a demand for properties such as this, and believe that proposing a low-density, high-quality scheme is what the nearby residents and purchasers want. The existing access road is going to be widened and the entrance reconfigured to improve visibility and safety over the existing entrance arrangement, and sufficient car parking spaces will be provided on site to avoid any potential parking issues on Haygate Road. In terms of the design, we've worked closely with the planning and the conservation officer, and we've spent a considerable amount of time to carefully address the issues raised, and in particular reduce the potential impacts on the proposals on its setting within the locally listed building. Minimal changes are proposed to the existing building, and we have taken a more traditional looking route for the dwellings, taking design cues based on the actual design of the former hospital and the design ethos of arts and crafts cottage care hospitals for when it was originally constructed. We've included additional design details to reflect the chimneys, recessed doorways, and the windows with the surrounding brick and tile detailing and corner brick and tile headers. This better reflects the architecture of the former hospital and key design principles of arts and crafts buildings. The residents will all have the use of the ecological landscaped area to the southern corner of the site.
That's 3 minutes, Chair.
That's nearly finished. This will include a pond and retention of the existing sunroom, continuing its original use.
Mr. Jones, can you wind us, please?
The design has been strongly supported by the Town Council and no objections have been raised by the statutory consultees. We hope that this application can be supported, and even in these uncertain and difficult times, my client would be looked to proceed at the earliest possible opportunity with the scheme. Many thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Jones.
Thank you.
Right, Andy, do you want to come back?
Yeah, only a couple of things. Thank you, Chair. The proposal involves the development of a piece of land designated as Green Network. However, the council's ecologists have supported the scheme due to the provision of the pond and the ecological area. In addition, as Mr. Jones said, the scheme also has the significant benefit of retaining the building of local interest, which at one point was under threat. And the proposal also represents the holistic development of the whole site. At one point, I think Mr. Jones noted that we had an application for some development to the rear, but that left the hospital outside of that site, and therefore there was a danger that could have been left to deteriorate further. The added addition, which also outweighs the any harm of developing the part of the site of the Green Network, is the provision of accommodation for the over 55s, which is supported by the local plan policy in terms of meeting the needs of the careful what I say here, but the ageing population. One objection has been received from the occupant of the property on Haygate Road, number 81. That relates to the proximity between habitable windows, but they on plots 5 and 6, which are the 1.5-storey dwellings within the scheme. But the distances far exceed the minimum separation distances. They're up towards 28 metres, whereas we'd normally look for a minimum of 21 metres. And likewise, from the window of the proposed dwellings to the boundary, it's 20 metres. Normally we'd look for a minimum of 10 metres, and there's intervening landscaping in between. So on that basis, as I say, offers a recommendations for approval, subject to a 106 to secure the accommodation to over 55s and contributions towards the local recreational facilities. That's it from me. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Andy. We're now open to the committee, and Nigel Dugmore has indicated he wants to speak. Nigel.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. It's just a shame that that this particular building can't continue its healthcare use. I mean, it would make an ideal halfway house between hospital and home, but you know, we are where we are, and you know, and I welcome all the work that's been done between the officers and the applicant to make this to try and mitigate any potential problems. Just 2 points. One, tarmac doesn't have a K in it, so it's Tarmacadam, and but the main thing is that I am concerned about is who's actually going to pay for the upgraded lights to the tennis courts, because I mean they wouldn't need to be upgraded unless this development was going ahead, and therefore I do think that it should be specifically conditioned and paid for by the applicant. Thank you, Chair.
And did you want to comment on that?
Well, just travelling
sorry?
around actually, Chair, because as far as I was aware, the existing lights weren't proposed to be upgraded. But if I'm just going to check through the report again very quickly, but was there any specific reference, Councillor Dugmore, to that upgrade?
Yeah, hang on. Let's get the paper out again. I mean, perhaps I've misread it, but the 8.25 is all about the lights.
Yeah, I think my understanding is that they're the existing ones, because they're because of the nature of tennis, is because it's quite a small court compared to football. It has to be quite focused. So the cowling directs the lights onto the court itself, so there's limited spillage.
Right. So the existing ones are okay then, are they?
Yeah.
I must have misread that, because I thought they were going to be required to be upgraded. Well, you know, I've got no problem with this particular with this application at all. It looks good to me.
Thank you, Councillor Dugmore. Any other councillor want to speak?
Yes, Chair.
Who's got the hand up?
My hand's been up, Chair.
Okay, Chris.
And so is mine.
Fletcher. Yeah. Councillor Turley.
Yeah, I noticed obviously the previous building and the new buildings have chimneys. Are these going to be live, or it's just cosmetic?
Good question. You tested me today. I'm just checking the floor plans. Sorry. I can't see anything on the floor plans on this is bungalow 4 plot 1, I think, that shows it to be a working chimney. Was there any particular preference for one or the other, Councillor Turley?
Sorry, no, it's just I wanted to know whether otherwise are we going to be burning coal or wood, which is obviously things that climate change they don't wish us to do. But I'm assuming all buildings will be centrally heated. But as I say, my word, cosmetic.
Okay.
To keeping with the old building.
Yeah. That we've asked for them from a cosmetic perspective. Yeah. I must confess, I don't know if Wellington's a smoke-free zone or not really, but that's something we can check.
Councillor Fletcher. Ian?
Yes, sorry, Chairman. I was just checking something on the document. I have a little concern about the fact that the bungalows are quite close to the tennis courts. And despite the design of the lighting to keep it down and across, there might be complaints from the residents when they move in of the lights. This is been a feature on other applications that have been built near sports facilities, despite the fact that the lights are supposed to be the latest standard. So I have a little bit of concern about the layouts. That some of those bungalows are rather close to the tennis courts. The other thing that I'm worried about is the safety provisions around the pond. As we have more mature residents like myself who become frail and unstable, is there appropriate safety precautions being put in place around the pond area?
You okay if I come back on those, Chair?
Yes, please,
Certainly.
Andy.
I've got a recollection. I'm just frantically searching for it again. But I think because it's an ecology area, I think the preference is to have it fenced off, because I remember reading them within the report about preventing dog walkers, which I think was a concern of the neighbour at 81 as well, actually. So if you just bear with me a second, I can just check for you. Yeah, in paragraph 8.2.827 on page 20, is the first paragraph. It says the area is to be managed as such and as shown as fenced off, noting concerns around its use for different than Councillor Fletcher's, but it's used for dog walking, stroke as a play area. So that it's being fenced to prevent them uses.
Thank you.
And then with regard to lighting, I know it's not a 100% fail-safe, but what we've done is attached an informative to the decision document to advise potential purchasers that that there is a sports facility next door if they weren't if they didn't know it anyway. But I think that counted with the with the as you say, the latest technology with the lights. It focuses them down quite a lot. We've actually got some photographs on the online planning page, which shows the light itself. Unfortunately, we haven't got them in the pack because they don't come up that well. But I don't think. But
Okay. Any other committee members want to speak? Right. Well, the application is before us then, and I'll ask Ian Russell to conduct a roll call. Who's for and who's against?
Thank you, Chair. Going through the members of committee, again in alphabetical order. Please could you indicate whether you're in favour or against the recommendation? Councillor Dugmore?
For.
Councillor Fletcher?
For.
Councillor Jones?
For.
Councillor Lavery?
For.
Councillor Middleton? Councillor Scott?
For.
Councillor Smith?
For.
Councillor Turley?
For.
Councillor Wright?
For.
White.
It's white. It is white.
I'm sorry.
Well, at least you're consistent anyway.
Oh,
Consistently wrong. I apologise for that. Yes, thank you. It's the way I've written it down.
He's
okay.
also truthful, right?
I won't make that mistake again.
We've agreed that application can go through then. We've approved the application. Okay. Thank you. We move on then to get to the next one, which is the 2020-0357.
Unknown participant is now exiting.
Right. It's item 6B. So this is the Langley School, Dorley. There's no speaker on this one, so can we ask the officer to introduce the report?
Thank you very much, Chair. This is a full planning application for a new teaching block at the Telford Langley School, Juice Drive in Dorley. The new block measures 2,142 square metres and will accommodate 300 additional secondary school pupils. The application is before members today as it's a major application submitted by the council and is therefore subject to contributions. I understand there's no speakers, Chair, so if I can just carry on with the specifics.
Carry on, please.
The new teaching block is located to the south of the existing teaching block on land which currently forms part of recreational land which surrounds the school and also forms part of the green network. The agents have incorporated justification within their application as to the impact the proposal may have on the green network and the loss of the land as its primary function for recreational use. Both our Healthy Space Officer and Sports England have advised that this part of land is underutilised, not known to have been demarked for playing pitches at any point, and is in any event limited width to accommodate such use, and therefore they considered that the loss of this area for recreational purposes, given the abundance of other recreational land that is available, is not considered significant. Other matters relating to visual amenity, linkages and the like, all relating to the green network, have been considered on balance, and we believe that the loss of green network is not considered significant when weighed against the benefits of the scheme overall. In relation to representations, there has only been a single representation from a local resident querying the impact that the proposal may have on them. This resident was located at the south side of the Finger Road traffic junction, so a considerable distance away from the proposal. The nearest residential property lies 35 metres to the west on New Street and is in any event screened by existing landscaping, the public right-of-way and the change in levels, and it is therefore considered that the impact on residential amenity is extremely limited. There have been no objections from statutory consultees, but a number of conditions have been imposed relating to ecology, surface water, gas monitoring and also a new travel plan. Our Local Highways Authority have advised that the site currently has an over-provision of car parking with spare capacity for drop-offs and pickups to accommodate the new teaching block. I understand there's currently 134 spaces on site, and with the local plan requiring 1 space per staff member, there is 98 existing staff and 22 additional with the new teaching block, and therefore the provision caters for the 120 spaces needed as well as spare capacity for drop-offs and pickups. It is understood that the existing cycle stands on site are underutilised, and therefore the travel plan that has been requested by condition will hopefully promote further this mode of transport and minimise drop-offs and pickup times. But on that basis, the Local Highways Authority have raised no objection to the proposal. The site has been assessed from an ecological perspective. There is a nearby pond, but that is surrounded by suitable habitat to ensure that the proposal will not cause this to have any significant impact. The site itself is obviously a regularly cut amenity grassland and has no habitat of principal importance, and therefore makes limited contribution to the green network in this respect. The supporting ecological assessment and its proposed mitigation are conditioned. All of the proposed conditions and the memo of understanding for the travel plan monitoring have been agreed with the agent. And then lastly, turning to the design of the teaching block, this has been worked up in close association with the agents, with a pre-application inquiry being undertaken earlier in the year, in which the council made a number of design suggestions, all of which have been incorporated into the scheme before you. Officers believe that the scheme has achieved a high level of design, which both complements its setting while still representing a clear evolution of the facility. Accordingly, officers recommend approval subject to the proposed conditions and the contribution towards the monitoring of the travel plan. But I'd be happy to answer any further questions. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Libby. Right, it's open to the committee to comment, and Nigel Dugmore has got his name down, emailed in, say he wanted to speak. Nigel.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Chair. Yeah, I mean, I welcome this because as we're all aware, it does. We know that there's a crisis in school places, and so this facility is desperately needed, and we probably need more of them. I'm a bit disappointed that there's no mention of any environmentally sustainable energy source on this particular extension. I mean, I appreciate that it will just connect in with the facilities, with the services that the existing schools got, but I mean, I do think that council application should be taking the lead in these things, and there should be at least solar panels or a heat pump or something like that being installed, because that's the way it's going to go, and we're going to have to start considering these things and insisting on it. Just further on from that, on the 8.4.2. I mean, with only 8% of the cycle parking spaces being used, well, then I think this highlights the direction that we need to start going in, and fully utilising the facilities that are already there, as opposed to wasting money and putting things on other things. But on the whole, I think this application is fine, and the highways is good, and well, it's me, so the parking's fine as well. I've checked that out, and so I've got no real problems with it. But as I say, I am a bit concerned that we're not insisting making sure that there's some sustainable energy in there.
Thank you, Nigel. Libby, do you want to comment on that?
Sorry, Chair, Penny. Yes. I'm just having a sort of scan.
Sorry.
It's okay. I'm just having a scan through the design and access statement really to see if there's anything that that in relation to Councillor Dugmore's queries. But they've talked about the insulation measures they will use, but there isn't any heat pumps or solar panels included. But as you say, it will be interconnected into the existing school and the provisions they use. So.
Thank you, Penny.
Missed opportunity, I'm afraid. Okay. Thank you.
Any other councillor want to speak? Derek White.
Thank you very much. No, I do agree entirely with Nigel. We are supposed to be entering a new energy-free, lower carbon emissions time for our council, and it is absolutely sensible that if we are putting in buildings, then we should have them to the highest standard. We should be setting the example, not waiting and then having to develop them at a later time. I think it's right that we should be having more school buildings, because we need greater spaces for the pupils to actually be able to. We do not want to go back, and we cannot go back to the overcrowding that we've had in the past. We need to make the changes, but if we're going to make the changes, I know it's more expensive in the short term, but it is a greater saving in the long term. So I do support 100% what Nigel has been saying.
Any other council want to speak? No?
Oh.
Move it, Chair.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Right. Ian Ross, can you do the roll call again?
Certainly, Chair. Thank you. Again, alphabetically, if you could please indicate which way you wish to vote in respect to the recommendation. It's been moved and seconded. Councillor Dugmore?
For.
Councillor Fletcher?
For.
Councillor Jones?
For.
Councillor Lavery?
For.
Councillor Middleton?
For.
Councillor Scott?
For.
Councillor Smith?
For.
Councillor Turley?
For.
And Councillor White?
I'm for, but can we make sure that the comments that we've made regarding the energy conservation is put back to the person who's building? Thank you.
Thank you, Derek. It will be in the minutes and they will be circulated. Right. That is allowed, then application is allowed as per the report. And that brings us to the end of the meeting.
Oh my God.
And thank you all for attending.
Thank you.
We're all getting better at this, aren't we?
Hey, don't speak too soon.
Never stops.
Yeah, tomorrow could be a marathon.
I would have got a cup of tea in front of you. Okay, thanks all for attending.
Thank you.
all.
Everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.